Canada is absolutely furious at the Trump regime. Donald Trump speaking at Quantico, Virginia, in front of hundreds of American military generals and admirals. And Donald Trump once again called out Canada as the 51st state in this room of generals and admirals. It was a despicable sight indeed. And also the feedback we're getting here at the MeidasTouch Network and in Meidas Canada about just how pissed off people are at Donald Trump can be seen in the fact that we got literally millions of views on the video we did about the United States ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, writing a letter to Charlie Angus, leader of Meidas Canada and leader of the resistance tour. Charlie Angus calling out the U.S. ambassador to Canada. That video doing 1.2, 1.3 million or so views on the Meidas YouTube, on Charlie Angus's Meidas Canada YouTube, hundreds of thousands of views there. That's not to mention the millions of times those clips were viewed across social media. Here's Donald Trump from that horrible speech he gave in Quantico, Virginia, attacking Canada in this scene in front of generals and admirals. Let's play it.
We help other countries with it. We don't have it ourselves. And Canada called me a couple of weeks ago. They want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free. So I don't know if that made a big impact, but it does make a lot of sense. It actually makes, because they're having a hard time up there in Canada now, because as you know, with tariffs, everyone's coming into our country. We have more investment than we've ever had before, $17 trillion coming in. As an example, in 4 years, Biden didn't have $1 trillion. We have 17 trillion more than that in 8 months coming in. And they're coming in from Canada, Mexico, from Europe, from all over. AI, auto plants. Everybody's coming back to the United States.
I'll show you this. This is what the scene looks like on the highway in Canada. Here, play this clip.
Here's a sign I saw along the Trans-Canada Highway.
Let's bring in Charlie Angus, leader of Meidas Canada. Everybody subscribe to the Meidas Canada YouTube channel, leader of the resistance tour. Hey, Charlie, great to see you. So you see Donald Trump there attacking Canada in front of Americans, military generals and admirals. What's your response to him doing that?
Okay, where to even begin? You know, this past week, we saw jets being scrambled in Alaska. Donald, that's American turf from Russia. We saw threats in Estonia. Poland has brought in Article 4, which is the next step to major intervention. Germany says they're no longer at peace. Denmark's being threatened. And Donald Trump calls all his generals to what? Talk to them about being fat and going after woke. You know, this is the absolute freaking collapse of the American century. And in the midst of it, he tells these generals and admirals, and, you know, the one thing I do know about the military is that the Canadian and American military have worked so close together for so long. They know each other. They know each other's operating systems. They know how they talk. They talk to each other all the time. And Donald Trump throws this like bad fart out in the room saying, oh, Canada called me, you know, they want to be part of my scheme, and let's be 51 state. Did you hear any clapping from any of the generals? They were looking at each other thinking, okay, this is really serious. We've got potential global conflict now with Europe. NATO's falling apart. And we got this guy who's so desperate that he calls the generals and tries to spin them that Canada is so desperate that we're begging to join. Well, no, Donald. And if you want to get into the economics right now of how MAGA is falling apart and how Canada has just decided, to hell with you. Yeah, we're taking a lot of hits right now, but we're not taking as many hits as, say, the American Farm Belt. And we're building new markets and we're finding new allies. And this incident, this scene today, with the American generals, I think is sending a message to everyone in the world. If you didn't think this was way past the brink, it's way past the brink. So we got to start thinking plan B, and Canada is going to just carry on and do its thing.
You heard Donald Trump say there that the United States has brought in $17 trillion from Canada, Mexico, and other places. The United States had a $2 trillion deficit for the last fiscal year. So if we brought in $17 trillion, that would mean we would have a $15 trillion surplus. And then there'd be so much money to go around that why is the United States even in a government shutdown right now? Donald Trump doesn't realize how just stupid he looks, where the rest of the world knows there's not $17 trillion or there's not even $1 trillion. But I want to talk about what's really happening, because as American farmers are going bankrupt, you see it firsthand. Canadian farmers are having a renaissance right now, in a way. Can you explain what's happening there as America's farmers no longer have export markets because of retaliatory tariffs by the rest of the world against the United States?
Well, Ben, that's a really important issue. You know, Meidas Canada, we're doing the Meidas Canada town hall. So we were in the farm belt in southern Ontario, Port Elgin, Owen Sound area, you know, driving past, bumper crops, record season. I was just in Saskatchewan, our breadbasket, watching the farmers taking the hay off the fields. What I'm hearing in Saskatchewan, okay, we've got issues with the Chinese, but this is a great year. And the reason farming is doing so well is that Donald Trump has blown up what could have been a bumper crop year in the United States by what? Number one, going after the migrant workers. So in California, Arizona, New Mexico, chasing the workers out of the fields. Then the tariff wars is causing havoc in places, you know, like the Dakotas, Montana, because they rely on all their parts suppliers, the potash coming over from Canada. So those input costs are creating chaos. But the big issue is when you threaten people and you threaten their countries, they don't buy your product. I mean, we don't buy Iowa corn anymore. We don't buy American produce. If you go to any of our grocery stores, it's amazing. It's Mexico, 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 Peru, Peru, Peru. And then there's one thing from the United States sitting on the shelves. So the American farmers who bought into Trump thinking tariffs were going to help them, their markets are gone. And what's happening, again, Canada's not shooting its mouth off. They're letting Donald do his thing. Canada is moving in on the corn market. Canadian corn is being sold now in Ireland, Spain, and the UK. This was like hardcore guaranteed American markets before. It's not anymore. Tomatoes, you know, Mexico's moving in. Canadian greenhouses are moving in. And the other thing, this is a really important thing to show why they're calling it Farmageddon right now in the United States, of the collapse that they're facing in the communities that supported Trump, is that, you know, they went after all the woke regulations and all that environmental stuff. Well, yeah, nobody else is going to buy your pesticide products. And so Canada, again, quietly selling to the Europeans, selling to other markets, saying traceability standards. You can check our products. We're not going to be putting pesticides on them. So Donald Trump and all his cut red tape MAGA guys thought it sounded great, and they've lost their markets. And once your markets go, they don't come back. So this is a really bad year for American farmers. Right now in Canada, they're doing pretty darn good.
And then the Trump regime puts in a MAGA proxy as the ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, who seems every single week is giving another interview or doing a podcast where he continues to attack and blame Canada. And say, you know, I mean, it's as I was saying that it's right out of I mean, I was going to say it's right out of South Park, but this is behaving. Just watch what Donald Trump just posted about Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, just so we can see this is the time that we're living in. As America's heading into a shutdown, then I'll make my South Park reference. Then I'll get to Pete Hoekstra. Here, play this.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
The disgusting video, and we're going to continue to make clear, bigotry will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault.
You know, America right now is we're in a government shutdown, okay? The leader of the opposition party, Hakeem Jeffries, has said, you know, stop posting racist AI videos of me. That's how Donald Trump behaves. And I was thinking to the South Park movie where they were doing blame Canada for all of our problems. Right. And you have right now Pete Hoekstra, who's literally there saying blame Canada. Even though Donald Trump wants to take your sovereignty, he's like, we're going to blame Canada for everything. It's like, what do you mean blame Canada? Donald Trump did this. So you got a letter from him. You did a video on MeidasTouch Network and a Meidas Canada. It's gotten millions of views. Tell us the reaction right now to Hoekstra in Canada.
Well, Ben, how the hell did Pete Hoekstra get his job? That's the question I'm asking now. I mean, people are looking at this guy. He has been like gaslighting us. He's been picking fights. I mean, for a while, he was sort of hunkered down. And, an ambassador's job, we are the #1 trading partner in the world to the United States. Not that it helps. I mean, Donald Trump just gave $20 billion to bail out Argentina under the nut job Javier Malou, who, going back to the farm issue, he undercut the American soybean market as the American soybean market was collapsing. And did Donald Trump help his farmers? No, he helped out Argentina because they're far-right extremist government and gave them a $20 billion bailout. Meanwhile, they're attacking us. So they sent Pete Hoekstra. This guy has blown out on every international file. His claims on the weapons of mass destruction were so bad, the Pentagon had to step in. I think at one point, the Washington Post gave him 4 Pinocchios for his lies. He's then got the job in the Netherlands, where he was born, and he started making all kinds of false and wild claims about the Muslim people, trying to build anti-Muslim hate there, to the point that he got called out. And then he blamed the Netherlands, people of the Netherlands, for fake news and for lying. And then he had to apologize. Okay, this is a guy, as we say in hockey, Canadian hockey terminology, you bench. That guy gets benched right away. But no, he gets sent to Canada, the #1 trading partner. All he has to do is keep a low profile. They put him on the road, and he's gaslighting us and poking us, and people are absolutely pissed. So yeah, he sends me this letter where he's sort of trying to pretend we have shared values, blah, blah, blah. And I just shared it, and it's gone mega viral. So obviously, Meidas is living inside Pete Hoekstra's head, and I don't know what else is in there. There's not much, it seems. But people are really, really angry, and they're starting to say, why was this guy sent to Canada? Was he sent to Canada to build relationships, or was he sent to pick fights? Because if he's there to pick fights, and Donald Trump is now turning to Canada again to pick fights while he's trying to win over his generals, which obviously failed, people are saying, okay, you want to fight? We'll fight. We're moving on. We're getting on. And I think the next question we're going to see with what we're going to have to ask the Meidas Mighty is, what do we need to do about Pete Hoekstra? Is it time to give him the bum's rush? I think that's a fair question. I've been trying to be really reasonable about this guy, but I think we're getting to the point. It's like, Donald, we saw your joke guide. You sent him in. He's blown it. He's really pissed us off. Like, if you're serious about doing anything with your northern neighbor that you hate, and you call us the nastiest people on the planet, if you're serious in any degree beyond just this sort of spectacle of clown show, then you're going to have to deal with your little guy named Pete Hoekstra, because he has totally blown it.
Finally, Charlie Angus, whenever we conclude these interviews, I always ask you, what would be your message to Donald Trump? Not if, it's more when he's watching this, because as we know from the letters they're sending you, they are watching this. So what's your message to Donald Trump and his regime as they are watching this right now?
Well, Donald, we are in amongst the most dangerous times since the 1930s. We're seeing the disintegration of the rule of law. We're seeing the disintegration of the democratic order. Now, we know that those values mean nothing to you. You're a grifter. You're an oligarch. You worship Vladimir Putin. But the historic record is looking pretty dismal right now. When we see threats in Europe, you don't like the Europeans. You like Vladimir Putin. When we see the threats against Canada, you don't like us. But you'd give a $20 billion bailout to an Argentinian whack job who lost billions in crypto schemes. But at the end of the day, when I watch those generals, and I'm not a military guy, but the one thing that the United States has is they've established a standard, in the U.S. military, and they were looking at you and they didn't buy it at all. Canadians don't buy it. The world doesn't buy it. You sounded desperate. You sounded like the grift was running out. And that's why you bring us in. Whenever you seem to be hitting the skids, Donald, you try and go back to Canada and blame us and say we're begging. We're not begging, Donald. We're watching you. We're watching the collapse of the American century that you brought on with your family and all your grifter friends and all your influencers that you put into positions that have no right to be there, because they don't represent anything about what's good in the American people. And it's all going to end very badly. So what we're doing right now, Donald, we're figuring out how we're going to get out from the collapse that's coming. We're just going to get on our way. And you could send out videos making fun of the Mexican people. We're talking to the Mexican people. They're good people, Donald. They're more than willing to work with us. You hate Europeans? We're talking to the Europeans. They're good people, Donald. And you know what? You want to kiss up to Vladimir? He's laughing at you. He thinks you're a dunce. You're his little puppet. So we're very, very, very serious times right now, Donald. Very serious. But we're going to get through this as Canadians by doing things the right way. And I always like to say, as Winston Churchill said to Adolf Hitler, you can do your worst, sir, but we will do our best. And that's what we're going to do. So take it from here, Donald.
Charlie Angus, leader of Meidas Canada, leader of the Resistance Tour. Everybody subscribe to the Meidas Canada YouTube channel right now. Help Meidas Canada YouTube hit 250,000 subscribers in its first month. Let's see if we can get there. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks so much.
Everybody hit subscribe here. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.